Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, March 26th, 8:46 a.m. We are back again on another market open. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We've got a lot to talk about. On the thumbnail and on the title, you guys probably saw, I broke this news on Twitter this morning. If you guys were following on Twitter, some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not. Palantir has signed a $37 million contract with Lithuania. Now, $37 million might not sound like a lot, but this partnership goes a lot deeper than meets the eye. And we're going to talk about why they got this partnership, what it means, why it matters, all that good stuff. So we're going to be talking about the Lithuania partnership. Bitcoin, currently I'm looking at it. Bitcoin right now is at 70,960. We crossed over 71,000 briefly this morning. So Bitcoin is up from the 60,000 lows. We're going to be talking about that. Number two, Dan Ives upgrades Microsoft from 475 to 500. Has some very unique statistics from the research him and Wedbush have been doing on why Microsoft deserves to be upgraded to $500, which represents 18% upside from a year. It's the most bullish analyst on the street for the stock. We'll be talking about that. Amazon launching a brand new thing around pharmacy deliveries. That's a new product they're coming out with. We got a bunch of macro news we got to discuss. Microstrategy is at $1,950 in the pre-market. It is now the 280th largest company in the world. It has overtaken eBay's market cap. And so we're going to be talking about that and the implications on MicroStrategy. And then WeWork, I think we saw that news. We'll touch on that briefly as well. Adam Newman trying to buy back his company for $500 million. That's going to be exciting to see how that all plays out. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's time to get in to the market open. Ray, Sam, William, Torben, Top Dasher, Broccoli Bob, Mitch, Dougie Fresh, Eric Wood, Midwest, Technical Trader Wong, Honeybee, Nesra, thank you all for being here. Mari, Mark, Nolan, good morning, good morning. Jack, Ty Gordon, thank you, everybody, for being here today. Again, I am just wearing the stuff that I usually wear, so it shouldn't be too different in terms of my attire today. It's just the stuff I usually wear. So I hope you guys enjoy me wearing the same stuff that I usually wear. All right. I think we'll start off with the Palantir news. Because that's some big news that's breaking out this morning. And this is why it's so good to have a community. So this morning I woke up and someone on Facebook messaged me. This person was from Lithuania themselves. And again, this is why it's just so important to be doing crowdsourced due diligence and everyone in the community talking with other people. He's part of a random, small Palantir Lithuania Facebook group. And so, you would imagine maybe there's a couple hundred people from Lithuania that talk about Palantir in that group, and they found a new contract. I didn't find this contract. I didn't even know this website existed. I had no idea this was happening. And he messaged it to me today. I checked it out, looked super legit. And realized that this is a pretty big deal. Palantir wins a $37 million contract from the government of Lithuania. The photo, which is the photo right here, so as you can see, it's 34 million euros converted into dollars. That's about 37 million bucks. It's planned to be worth about 42 million euros. So call it maybe 45, 46 million dollars. That's how much they could win. But what they've received, what it looks like, is about 34 million euros, which is about 37 million bucks. And this was done through the Central Public Procurement Portal. That's where the picture came from, around Lithuania's ongoing government public procurements. And it was signed in March 19th, so literally last week, with a state data agency, specifically the Department of Statistics under the government of the Republic of Lithuania. Now, why does this matter? $37 million might seem like, okay, it's 37 million bucks. It's not that big of a deal. They got 37 million. That's cool. It matters for a couple of reasons. First of all, Lithuania and Palantir have had an ongoing relationship for a while. In April of 2023, Palantir announced plans to establish a regional tech hub in Lithuania, which was really interesting news when I saw it. Lithuania, obviously being one of the countries on the Baltic states, always potentially at risk of being invaded by Russia, them, Poland, and a couple others. So obviously, given what they've seen with Ukraine, Lithuania is looking at Palantir. Palantir is being used in Ukraine and saying, hey, maybe we should protect ourselves before something gets really bad. Karp said in 2023, the critical role Lithuania plays on the world stage will only continue to increase with the current arc of our geopolitics. We are more than grateful to the president of Lithuania for our new partnership via the Ministry of Defense, which will not only strengthen the nation and its Baltic partners, but also the democratic values which they seek to uphold. Lithuanian president said in 2023, developing new high technology-oriented foreign investment opportunities as well as creating partnerships to co-create new technological products important for regional security is a win-win policy. Lithuania's talented labor force and attractive business environment is our treasure that we must further nurture. To me, this is really important news because Palantir's international government revenue is one of the segments of the business that hasn't done as well. And so it's exciting to see them tap into an opportunity with a country they've established a partnership with. That's why you have to look at these partnerships as an investor and be like, why are they working with this person? Why are they working with this entity? What does this partnership mean? Even if they're not getting paid right now, if this partnership doesn't matter for the future, right? Are they giving them something that eventually will materialize? And when they set up that regional tech hub, there was no dollar amount associated with it back in April of 2023. People that were bullish on Palantir, that's when the stock was like $8-9. You were bullish because you were like, well, wait a second. They're partnering with a country that's on the Baltic states, and the entire country, the president of the country is doing a joint press release with Palantir CEO. Like, again, this is the stuff we saw back at $8-10 saying, wait a second, this thing is fucking mispriced right now. It's just a little mispriced. And obviously a year later, a little bit really on the almost 11 months later, in April, it would have been 12 months, they get a $37 million contract from the government of Lithuania. Now, what my source told me in Lithuania is that for Lithuania, this is a big contract. Like for the United States, other nations, like 37 million is not a lot of money. For Lithuania, which is a smaller country, shelling out 37 million bucks from a state department agency just for one piece of software, that's a big deal. They don't have the funds to just be shelling out money like that. So in the context of Palantir, I think that's very important. And then obviously, I think over the next few months and years, that partnership is going to get better. That relationship is going to get stronger. And Palantir will quite literally become, in my opinion, the most important software company in the EU, specifically for defense. And it's because of partnerships like this today. So we're going to see how that continues to evolve. But if that gets better and better, then it's going to be exciting to see what happens with Palantir. And it's really nice that we got that we got a new partnership for Palantir. So super, super, super exciting stuff. Does Poland have a contract? We are right on the NATO border. I don't know if Poland has a contract with Palantir. That's actually I'm going to write that down. That's something to do some due diligence on. I feel like they have worked together in the past. I feel like from my research over the past couple of years, I've seen their name pop up. But I don't know if they have an official contract with Palantir. Something to definitely look into, and I'll take a look into that. But I would imagine they're curious, right? They're on the border as well of those Baltic states, and it'll be important for them to be able to get a contract with Palantir. Amit's looking like a salmon. Prince Amit, I love it. Yes, this is one of the jackets I got yesterday. It's one of those jackets. This one's more pink. I like the blue one better as well because it's sparkly, but this one is actually what you would wear to like a traditional Indian wedding. These are like the colors that you would wear and all that stuff. I got a green one coming tomorrow, so you guys are going to see it. Okay, so that is the update on Palantir. Congrats to shareholders. $37 million contract. Right now in the pre-markets, Palantir is up about 1%. I saw 24.83, 1.31. Let's see if we can make our way back up to that $25 level. Is this news going to move the stock? Probably not, but I still think it's important for long-term shareholders because contracts like these start at 37 million and they make their way up to 370 million with one country over time as they evolve. Now, a stock that is up in the pre-markets that's not Palantir or up a little bit more than Palantir right now is a stock we've talked about a lot on this channel. I got a lot of things to talk about today on this one. So let's get through the news for this. Tesla's up 3%. Now, does anyone know why Tesla's up 3%? I have the reason, but I'm curious if people know. Because this is such a random reason why it's up. It's up 3.34%. Put in the chat if you know why Tesla's up. I'm curious how many people actually know. We'll talk about Robinhood. Don't worry. We'll talk about Robinhood. I'll get through the Tesla segment. And I have an actual announcement about Robinhood's credit card announcement. So in about 5 minutes, I'll talk more about Robinhood. Why do you guys think Tesla's up? I'm curious if anyone knows, and no one knows so far. FSD is not the reason. Kathy did buy 163,000 shares of Tesla yesterday, and she sold 1.4 million of Robinhood. So that did happen. Quick thoughts on the Kathy. So look, at the end of the day, she has a lot of Robinhood. So to me, it's just rebalancing. She did the same with Coinbase. They had a lot of Coinbase, and they sold on the way up. I think she's doing the same with Robinhood, and she's just allocating some of those funds into other long-term bets like Tesla that are dipped, right? That are down 34% year to date. So that's the logic on that, I believe. Okay, only one person got it right. Philip Rizzo, Italy. Or sorry, Joe Max. Two people got it right. Philip and Joe Max. Brad says, are you wearing a window curtain? Okay, that one was mean. Joe Max says Italy. Philip says Italy. Tesla is up right now 3% because Italy wants them to produce electric trucks in the nation. Now, this was reported by Italian news outlet Sol24. And 4 weeks ago, there were rumors about Tesla building a factory in Italy. And those rumors weren't taken that seriously. It wasn't like an official source. The street didn't really care about it that much. Today, the major sort of Italian news outlet came out and said, actually, this is like Italy really wants Tesla to show up. Now, what's unique about Italy is they have some of the highest youth unemployment, or not youth unemployment, but overall unemployment. I think it's like 7 to 8%. If we had 7 to 8% unemployment in the United States economy would be in the gutter. We have like 3.9. But Italy, for the past 15 years, has had about 7 to 8% unemployment. So, I mean, jobs in Italy would be a very good thing for their economy. It would increase their GDP. Tesla being there would obviously be of a huge benefit. And it seems like Italian government officials realize that if they can persuade Tesla to come, maybe through some subsidies, then that is good for Tesla and obviously good for the stock because they have subsidies. They have a favorable deal. Same thing that happened with India a couple weeks ago. That's not official yet, but it looks like it'll be official in the next couple quarters. And that it will allow more factory production in Italy, which means Tesla will have another factory to be able to create cars, which means their deliveries overall should hopefully be able to get higher as well because they have more factories across the world. So there you go. 178 right now on Tesla, up 3.34%. I don't know if this news is like, I don't know if it should be up that much on this news. I mean, this is good news, but again, this is not like official. Like Tesla didn't come out and say, "Hey, we're going to do like we're officially starting a factory in Italy." But the perception of it is good news for Tesla. And one of the things we've been talking about over the past couple of days is that 150, 140 dip everyone's looking for. Even Tesla bulls, right, would be excited to get back in at these levels. I don't know if that happens, dude. You got FSD, you got all these things coming out with Italy, you got some price target upgrades, even though you got some downgrades on the street last week. You got the sentiment changing to be a little bit more bullish, even though Q1 numbers everyone's expecting to not be the best. And then speaking of FSD, this one was also a big thing that happened yesterday, in addition to the Italy news this morning, which is that all Tesla deliveries now come with a 1 month free trial of FSD. So as you can see right here, receive 1 month trial of full self-driving capability with a new vehicle purchased, and FSD will cost $12,000. So now I tweeted last night, would you pay $12,000 for Tesla FSD after a 1 month free trial? I want the chat to also give me some answers here, because on Finance Junkies last night, we had an incredibly interesting discussion where some of the bigger Tesla bulls, like Carlson and Vitali, said there's no way in hell they would pay $200 a month for Tesla FSD at these levels. When I asked them, look, even if it was perfect, even if it was like the most beautiful version of FSD, would you pay $200 a month? And still they hesitated. And that surprised me. I was surprised because I thought the whole bull case on Tesla was that FSD is so good, people would pay a lot of money for it. It seems like a lot of Tesla people that I'm talking to say $6,000 to $5,000 is where they would want to pay. And I would love to know what people say in the chat. But would you actually pay $12,000? Call it $200, $200 a month. As Farzad said right here, they already offer it for $200 a month. Would you pay for it? Farzad thinks when it goes to level 3, it's going to be much more expensive. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if people even have the willingness to pay for it at this level. So let's say it becomes like a supercar where it can drive you to McDonald's and Burger King, and you just say, hey, take me here, and it takes you, and boom, you're good to go. Like, would you pay more than $12,000 for that? I don't know. It's a very, very complicated sort of question, but I was perplexed yesterday by the amount of people that legitimately said they would not pay that. That was a new source of data for me to understand, a data point, because in my opinion, I thought the Tesla bull case was that anyone will pay anything for FSD because it's FSD and it's a gigantic stream of revenue. And in North America in particular, people have to be willing to pay because across the world, you don't even know if FSD is going to be allowed, FSD is going to be regulated, FSD is going to be functional, and if the consumers in Lithuania, for example, would have the $200 to pay every single day for Tesla. Joshua says $200 a month. How many hours of commute do you have per month? Let's say at 10 at absolute minimum. Is your time not worth $20 an hour? Yeah, so I think that's correct. I think for the people that have a lot of commute, like I did back 2 years ago, I used to drive basically 2 to 3 hours a day. That would probably make me more productive, and that would be reasonable to pay $200 a month. But how many people actually have that much commute every single day? Like to the point where they really have to justify. What I'm seeing in the chat is pretty much everyone is saying no. Almost everyone is saying no. Everyone is saying no. If you just joined the Palantir contract, if you just rewind to the first 2 minutes, I talked about it. It's a Lithuanian contract, $37 million with the Lithuanian government. Very few people are saying yes, which is so interesting. Some people are saying yes. 99 would be a better price. Yeah, I know a lot of people also say 99. And look, maybe this is Elon's tactic. He's going to see how many people are willing to dish out 12,000, and then eventually it'll come back down to that $99 level, which still $6,000 a year. It would take you, or $6,000 in total would take you about 3-4 years to pay it off at $99 a month. So it would still be an annoying $99 payment. But I was really, it caught me off guard yesterday when I saw people were not willing to pay for FSD, because I thought that really was the exciting part about Tesla. Adam, the question is, would you pay $12,000 over the course of like 4 or 5 years, 7 years, if you financed it over $200 a month for full self-driving, the highest version of full self-driving? Like you drop in, you can get on YouTube, you can just be on your phone, and it literally drives you like a legitimate robot. Like, would you pay $12,000 for that? Me personally, I'm still skeptical about the concept of full self-driving. I think there's a lot of reasons to be bullish on Tesla outside of just FSD. So I am not comfortable with getting in a car and being a guinea pig, essentially, which for the first 4 or 5 years, you are going to be a guinea pig until this thing has millions of people doing FSD. Like in San Francisco, all those people with Waymo, they're guinea pigs right now, right? And there have been slight problems. For overall, it's gone okay. Again, it's in a very controlled environment. I don't want to be the guinea pig yet. I'd rather drive myself, and I'd rather trust an Uber driver who has 5 stars versus Tesla's FSD at this point. Maybe that'll change by 2030. But right now, so for me, I wouldn't pay $200 a month. That's what I'm trying to say, right? It would be hard to pay $200 a month. Anecdotal evidence isn't really strong evidence. It's not, I gave my anecdote, but I just asked the chat, and almost 95% of the chat said they would not pay $200 a month. So it's very interesting to see that people don't pay that. Honestly, I'm surprised by that, because I thought most people would pay up, no doubt. And when Carlos and Vitaly last night said no way, I was like, what? You guys are the Tesla bulls. You guys have the most Tesla stock. How would you not opt in for $200 a month? And for them, it was like $2,400 a year is not worth it. And I was like, okay, well, if it's not worth it for you, then hold on. Now what's going on, right? So maybe $99 is worth it, because $200, you got to think, is almost half, 50% of most people's car payment. My car payment is $311 per month. I'll own my Honda Civic in about 3 months, 4 months. I'll be done with that 5-year payment I had since 2019. So if you put on an extra $200, like that is kind of annoying, dude. That's 66% of my entire car payment. So I really got to do the unit economics of, does FSD give me 66% more value in terms of productivity every single month to make back that $200? I don't know, right? It's hard to imagine that. You still have to focus on the road. You're not buying your time back. That's a good point by Tanner. You still have to focus on the road. You're not really buying your time back, again, unless it's perfect. And if it's perfect, I understand, but I do think it's going to take a while for it to be perfect. Last thing I'll say on this is that the liability is really important. A lot of people on Twitter said yesterday under my tweet about it is, I would do it if Tesla assumed full liability. So if you're in the Tesla and then it gets into a crash, but you didn't do it, the FSD did it. If Tesla assumed full liability and full insurance claims, then they would be more open to doing it, because maybe then they don't have to pay for insurance in the same way, right? Because if you're doing a full self-driving vehicle, why do you have to pay Geico if Tesla's assuming all the problems? Because you're not the one driving, right? It's not your fault if you get into a crash. It's either someone else's fault or it's the FSD's fault. And so if Tesla has to take up all that liability, that brings up another question of how much would that actually cost them? Regardless, these are questions to think about. Tesla stock up 3% in the pre-markets because of the fact that Italy wants them to potentially produce electric trucks in the country, and the street is excited about that. Robinhood is at $19.40 in the pre-market right now, up 1.68%. So we will transition to the Robinhood discussion. But again, really, really interesting to see how this Tesla story is going to play out. Vitaly says, if that's the case, then they would still charge you for insurance. Well, see, here's the problem. If they charge me for insurance and I have to pay $200 for FSD and I have to pay my car payment, then this gets really expensive, right? Again, the people that were tweeting under the post yesterday said, if Tesla assumes all my insurance liabilities, then I would pay $200 a month. Not if they charge me an extra $300 a month for insurance, I would pay an extra $200 on top of that for FSD, which would make the total payment $500. And then the car payment is like what, another $400 or $500 with a Tesla. So that's like almost $1,000 a month to finance the whole thing with FSD. That's kind of the issue here. Now, granted, I agree with you, Vitaly. I mean, like they probably shouldn't give you liability insurance for free, but if they do attach another $200, $300, $400, whatever it is, then you're looking at $600 for FSD with their insurance. You could get cheaper insurance from Geico, but if Geico doesn't assume full liability, which is what FSD is supposed to do, we don't even know how Geico is going to react to like FSD liability. Then you kind of have to go with Tesla, which means then you have to pay a little bit more for that monthly payment. So that's the thing I think is the confusing part for a lot of people in the context of, what FSD will look like. So we'll see. But in general, Tesla stock up right now because Italy wants them to produce electric vehicles. And that's going to be beneficial for Tesla. Stock is up 3% right now in the pre-markets. Okay, Robinhood. Let's talk about Robinhood. So one quick announcement on Robinhood. They have their big credit card announcement today. That is going to be at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where they will be unveiling their new gold credit card. I have some thoughts on what the idea of that card could be like, or what features they would unveil. One announcement from me is that I was going to be live streaming that credit card announcement on YouTube. I am no longer going to be live streaming that announcement. And the reason I am no longer going to be live streaming that announcement is because yesterday night, I got an email from a random lady who works at Robinhood, and they sent me an invite to come to the event. So I will be in New York City today at 6:30, and I'll be attending the event in person, which will be really cool. I did not expect to get an invite at all. I got the email yesterday at like 3:20 p.m. And the email was like, hey, you're on the list. Make sure you're there. I was like, okay, I'll be there. So I will be at the actual event. I'll be tweeting live from the event, so I will not be able to live stream it, but I'll be tweeting live. I'm putting my Twitter in the description. You can follow there. And yeah, you guys will see live updates from Twitter. I don't know if Vlad's going to be there. I don't know if Vlad's doing this from California, if he's going to be in New York. I have no idea if I'm going to get to meet the guy. I have no clue, but it's pretty cool. And yeah, we'll be live at the event, and we'll see what they had to say. I am not going to be wearing this to the event. Ironically, my mom ordered me some Shein blazers yesterday, and they came in. And one of the ones that came in is gold. And so I'm thinking I'm going to wear a black dress shirt and the gold blazer. Like, it actually looks really good. And there you go. Boom. I'm at the gold event with the gold blazer. So I think it'll be pretty cool. Thankfully, that blazer came in yesterday. And so it'll be fun. It'll be super fun. We'll get to see what happens, and we'll get to see what the credit card is unveiled. Now, a couple things on Twitter last night that people were speculating. Robinhood right now is up in the pre-markets. I think, obviously, the street is getting a bit excited for the growth of Robinhood, Bitcoin going up. That's very good for Robinhood. Bitcoin right now at 71,000, and then Robinhood breaking out of these $19 levels. It was the first time it closed over 19 in 3 years yesterday. So that was very important as well. So a couple things on the credit card announcement. Number one, they seem to be taking this very seriously. Robinhood right now is advertising the credit card on Twitter. So right here, if you use the hashtag Robinhood, a gold version of their logo will pop up. And obviously you can see it right here. It says promoted by Robinhood. Tune in for an exciting product news from CEO and co-founder Vlad. So he will be presenting this thing today. And from what I looked at yesterday, a lot of people think it's going to be no annual fee, 2% cash back, and a very unique structure on rewards. I don't know if the street's going to take the stock higher because of the product announcement, because the product announcement is not showing growth. It's just showing a product. But if the product announcement is really good and you get a couple 100,000 people to sign up and pay $5 a month for gold, it's going to be limited to gold subscribers, which is $5 a month. So literally anyone can be a gold subscriber, right? It's not as elite or limited to like Amex Platinum or anything like that. And the rewards are pretty massive. What I was looking at on Twitter last night was a lot of people saying, dude, I will switch in an instant if Robinhood gives me 2% cash back and like really good rewards, because people want a digitally native credit card that's unique to them that they can use in an interesting way. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Tanner here will be live streaming with Jesse Dow. So if you need to access the stream, make sure you subscribe to Tanner's channel, Future Investing. If you're also interested in SoFi, which we'll talk about in a bit, make sure you go to Tanner's channel, and he'll be live streaming the entire event with Jesse Dow. And look, it'll be exciting to see. I think Robinhood is product focused. They really care about product. So because they care about product, I think they're going to unveil a unique version of what the credit card looks like. And we'll see ultimately what it becomes. So it'll be super cool. And I'll be in New York tonight. And so we'll see what happens. Okay, so that is the Robinhood news. Let's go to Dan Ives. Dan Ives has upgraded Microsoft to $500. Here's Dan Ives on why Nadella might have the best AI play on the market.
Big tech bull. You're always bullish on big tech. Your price target of 500 implies about an 18% upside from where Microsoft's trading right now. The average on the street's 470, so you're a bit above the street. You've been on a world tour, you've been on a US tour doing customer checks. What are they telling you about AI pilot adoption? And also, what does that mean for monetization?
The AI revolution's here. I mean, we're actually seeing the monetization. And again, as an example, we think 7 of every 10 Microsoft customers are going to go down the Copilot route. You go back 6 months ago, that was 2 of every 10. Frank, I think when you put numbers around it, 25 to 30 billion incremental cloud for Microsoft. They're in the driver's seat. This is an iPhone moment for Nadella and Redmond.
All right, you said it's an iPhone one before. You also said it's going to be an accelerant for their cloud infrastructure business known as Azure. So we're going to show the audience. Microsoft has about 37% of the market share. AWS is the leader. How much more market share could this potentially lead to Azure gaining?
I think they could gain incremental 10 to 15% market share over the next 2 years. I mean, to put some numbers around it, for partners think for every $100 of cloud spend with Microsoft and Azure, there's an incremental of 35 to 40 of AI spend. And I think when you start to put numbers around it, they're in the driver's seat of this AI revolution. As much as we talk about Nadella, what Nadella has done in the past, now going forward, we are really starting to see the monetization. And that's what the checks are showing us. Okay. Monetization's accelerating.
So what are getting the partners and their customers so excited about AI and the Copilot? Is there something in particular? Is there a certain feature?
Use cases. Okay. I mean, it all comes down to, we could talk about the AI revolution, Jensen, NVIDIA. The use cases, the moment's here. And we're seeing use cases 5x from where it was called 4 or 5 months ago. And I think that's the key. Microsoft, what you're seeing on Copilot is use cases, of course, names like Palantir and others that will benefit MongoDB. Now the second, third, fourth derivatives, but it's all being led by Copilot. AI it really does not even start without NVIDIA and Microsoft, and that's what we're seeing play out.
So you're saying there's very
Copilot, he'll talk more about it in a second, but Copilot is basically the virtual assistant that is powered by LLMs on any sort of Microsoft product, Excel, Word, etc., Bing, that makes you more productive because you get answers immediately. And he's saying the enterprise is adopting that in a much more rapid way.
Various use cases. Just depends on the customer, whether it's healthcare or supply chain, whatever it is, but they're just finding active use cases that make it worth it for them to pay the money and pay up for this.
With the ROI.
Okay.
And I think that's really how it's resonated in terms of what Microsoft's selling, Copilot Accelerator.
All right. So you mentioned you want to put some numbers on it. We're going to show the audience. This is a bar chart. So this is Azure growth. This stock can sometimes trade on Azure growth. So back in Q1 of 2023, Azure growth was above 30%. It was 35%. We've seen here it's had some ups and downs. Give me a sense, with AI Copilot, how much of a boost to the growth of Azure? You can see it has growth, but it's kind of decelerated from prior to from Q1 2023. How much growth do you see this creating when it comes to this business?
I think it's going to be an incremental when you start to think about 50, 60, 70 billion. And just to give some numbers on that, Azure now, you start to now see that tick back up toward the 30% level. And I think that's important because they're gaining share versus Jassy and AWS. And you look what's happened with Google. Right now, it's all being led by Microsoft. And this is, I think we go into a quarter where this is going to be another flex to muscle moment for Nadella and Redmond.
While we have you here, I want to touch on Arjun's report about some of the crackdown.
Okay, so what Dan Ives said there, one of the stats that I thought that was the most interesting about Microsoft is that 7 out of every 10 customers he talks to, or Wedbush is projecting based on the customer research that 7 out of 10 Microsoft customers, Microsoft has hundreds of millions of customers, will be using Copilot. 10 months ago, 2 out of every 10 customers would be using Copilot. That was their projection. So the projections went from 20% to 70%. Microsoft Copilot, from my understanding, is like $30 a month upgraded subscription. There's obviously different deals for the enterprise, but if you just factor in a $30 per month increase to 70% or 70% incrementally more amount of customers, that's where Dan Ives is getting this like 70 to $80 billion revenue number over the next couple of years. I think last quarter they did like 60 something billion in revenue. And so that's pretty exciting for Microsoft. Right here, Dan Ives says, Microsoft is having a transformative moment with AI customer checks that they've done. Copilot monetization is here. And this is Microsoft's iPhone moment. What my question is if Microsoft is the safest and best AI play in the market. Now, one could argue that Palantir is a better AI play. We saw Dan Ives talk about Palantir in this video. One could argue that maybe, Tesla is a better AI play. But in terms of safety, which is why I think Dan Ives is going to do well on this pick that he's been advocating for a while now, this is one of the safest companies you can bet on. It's Microsoft, right? Like Microsoft, as we saw the Azure growth, it ticked back up to 30% year over year. That's not a joke, right? Azure being up 30% in a competitive cloud environment with Google and AWS. So their Azure cloud growing at 30% year over year. Azure is more profitable when people are spending on the AI version of Azure and not just the basic version of the cloud. And then on top of that, you got Copilot. Microsoft already has the massive amount of distribution. I mean, Teams is what most people say is a god-awful product compared to like even Google Meet or Zoom. Zoom, I think, is the most superior out of all of the video chat platforms. And Teams is used in almost every enterprise because Microsoft just bundles it with, the other products they give. And then boom, you're on it. You're hooked. You're using it. So the idea that they can't create bundles and specific deals for enterprises, small businesses across the world to be able to get them to pay $30 a month for Copilot, it seems like it's very likely. And as Dan Ives was talking about, and this is where this is when I really like when he makes these sort of analyses, because his team, Wedbush, is traveling across the world, speaking to these customers, trying to figure out if they're actually using it. And the core thing, same thing he did with Palantir when he upgraded them to $25 back in July 2023, was that the use cases these companies are seeing are actually real. And if the use cases are real, then those use cases will result in more upgrades. Those upgrades means more revenue, means more top line growth, which is ultimately going to be very good for companies like Microsoft and Palantir. So there you go, $500 price target right now for Microsoft by Dan Ives. Joshua says the actual ChatGPT is much better than using Copilot. Even on Excel, I use both Excel and Business Analytics. ChatGPT is more accurate and gets you a lot further before you have to do the work. What's funny about that, and I agree with you, I use ChatGPT, way more than I use Copilot or Gemini or anything. I use it pretty much every day at this point. It was helping me understand call credit spreads the other day, right? It was helping me with like options trading. Microsoft owns half of ChatGPT, right? So it's like even if you're using ChatGPT, Microsoft still is able to benefit off that based on the partnership with OpenAI. Okay, let's talk about some other stuff. So we talked about Microsoft. This is a fun piece of news. McDonald's and donuts. So I didn't even know that Krispy Kreme was a public company, but they are. The ticker is DUNT, DNUT. Interesting one. It's up 17% right now. So if you are long DNUTs, you are up 17% right now in the pre-markets. And the reason you would be up is because not Microsoft. Did I say Microsoft? McDonald's. Microsoft selling Krispy Kremes. McDonald's is functioning as a distribution partner for Krispy Kreme donuts. And well, that means that you're going to be able to buy a lot more Krispy Kreme in McDonald's, which is pretty exciting. What's also very interesting about this is that DNUT has a 17% short float. So McDonald's to sell Krispy Kreme donuts nationwide by the end of 2026, which means if you go to a McDonald's, you will be able to buy a Krispy Kreme donut. I wonder if that's a little bit of competition for Dunkin' to an extent, right? That maybe you don't need to go to Dunkin' if you go to McDonald's to get your donuts. In general, I've had Krispy Kreme donuts before. Let me know in the chat if you've ever had these donuts. I'm going to say something controversial, but I think Dunkin' Donuts is better. Now, look, maybe that's the New Jerseyan in me coming out, but I've never felt Krispy Kreme. Are they actually better? Yeah, they're like technically better donuts. Dunkin' Donuts are stale and, I get it. But the New Jersey in me can't say that any donut is better than Dunkin' Donuts. Like I just like Dunkin' Donuts better. So I know most people like Krispy Kreme more than Dunkin' Donuts. I like Dunkin' Donuts a little bit more, but a lot of people like Krispy Kreme. And if they're getting their Big Mac at McDonald's for $1.65 to get a donut on the side, I mean, that sounds like America's going to get more obese and fat, which I get. But McDonald's is going to make a lot of money. So if you're a McDonald's shareholder or a Krispy Kreme shareholder, you will make some money on the back of America getting more obese. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Jersey has so many donuts that are much better than Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy. That's true, but Jersey also has a Dunkin' Donuts literally on every street corner. I mean, dude, this brand in New Jersey, it's not a public company anymore. Otherwise, I would invest in it. But it's I think they got like acquired by a bigger restaurant brand in 2022. The Dunkin' Donuts brand in New Jersey and Boston, but New Jersey in particular, I mean, you will not find if there's like 1,000 Starbucks in New Jersey, there's 10,000 Dunkin' Donuts. Like it is night and day in terms of orders of magnitude of penetration they have. But McDonald's is going to be able to compete with, or Krispy Kreme is going to be able to compete with McDonald's. Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin and what's going on in the world of Bitcoin right now. So Bitcoin inflows are out for yesterday. Let me pull it up right now. Okay, here we go. So the inflows were not super strong yesterday, but the inflows were strong in certain sectors. So GBTC had 350 million in outflows, right? So we still had some outflows. BlackRock had 35 million inflows. Fidelity had 261 in inflows. So Fidelity had 261 million. That's the most. The total inflows were 15.4 million after subtracting the grayscale outflows. Now, even though there were not as many inflows as expected, Bitcoin, I'm looking at it right now, 70,978. So how did Bitcoin in the course of basically 24 hours go up 5-6%, even though the inflows weren't that large? Either retail is getting involved or there's other institutional investors getting involved through different avenues. And we'll talk about some of those avenues in a second, outside of just the ETFs, which is getting the market to be a bit more excited. So a couple of other updates on why this may be happening in the context of Bitcoin. Number one is that MicroStrategy is up. Or first, let me do this news first, then we'll go to MicroStrategy. Hong Kong and London. So we talked about this just on the market close. London is close to being able to approve exchange traded notes. These are not ETFs. Retail investors can't access them, but that's why I was saying there's other avenues for institutional investors to get involved. London is thinking, hey, we're going to allow exchange traded notes, which are basically retail supported finance, or sorry, not retail, institutional supported asset instruments to be able to get exposure to Bitcoin. That likely is going to go live in the next month. Then you got this news from Eric, who covers the Bitcoin ETFs for Bloomberg. He says, looks like Hong Kong is going to allow in-kind creations and redemptions for spot Bitcoin ETFs in second quarter, unless the US, which is cash creations only, which could help spark assets under management and volume in the fast-growing region via a new note today that came out. Now, we knew, because we covered on this channel, that Hong Kong has been pretty excited about launching Bitcoin ETFs over the past few months, as the American ETF launch has been pretty strong. And so you got Hong Kong and you've got London that seem to be getting into the ETF race, even if it's not literally through ETFs in some way. That's getting the market also excited about the level of demand and interest that's coming in for Bitcoin. On top of that, MicroStrategy, we're looking at this right here, $31.49 billion market cap. The company is now the 280th largest company on planet Earth. I mean, it's quite incredible. It's quite incredible. And obviously the reason they're doing so well is because they have $7 billion of the Bitcoin. MicroStrategy right now in the pre-market, $1,900, up another 2%. It was up 21% yesterday. It's pretty incredible to see this play out. Last thing I'll say on MicroStrategy, and then we'll move on to Trump and Reddit, because we got to talk about that as well. Some people don't know this. I put this out last night. I learned this over the weekend. Michael Saylor had $500 million of cash in 2020 when the stock market and the pandemic was, creating chaos all over the world. And they either had to return that $500 million to shareholders or do something with the money. The company was valued at $1 billion back in April of 2020. It took him about 7 weeks to learn about Bitcoin. And before he invested $250 million of MicroStrategy's money into Bitcoin, that first purchase they made around August 2020, he invested $175 million of his own personal wealth into Bitcoin at about $9,000 to $11,000 a coin. That stake is currently worth $1.1 billion personally. After that $170 million investment he made, so it's not like, people think he just took the company's money and invested in. He invested almost $200 million of his own money into Bitcoin before even lobbying the board of directors. How did he do it? He put them in a 3-hour YouTube video session showing the simplest videos, stuff that you and I would watch on YouTube, to explain Bitcoin in an easy way. And then the board of directors, after those 3 hours, they were like, all right, screw it. It's either this or the company's going to fail. Why would the company fail? Because employees would leave, because they would have to give the money back. The company was not actually, substantially growing. So he basically risked the future of MicroStrategy, which is a company he's been building for 20 years at that moment, on Bitcoin. Talk about some big balls, dude. And that led to the market cap now being 30 billion. It's 30x. MicroStrategy is sitting on 8 billion of profits right now. So pretty exciting stuff in the context of MicroStrategy, and those who bet on MicroStrategy, they deserve it because it took a lot of guts to invest in this company, and Michael Saylor took a lot of guts to be able to make the investment that he did back in 2020. And that's why, that's why MicroStrategy has done well. $1,900 right now in the pre-market. Palantir, $24.51, $24.82 in the pre-market, up 1.26%. Robinhood, $19.42, up 1.78% in the pre-market. SoFi is down 1.34. Not sure why SoFi is down. Someone's saying there's SoFi news in the chat. If you can link it, let me know and I'll check it out. But SoFi is down about 1.48%. PayPal, $66 in the pre-market. That's up. IWM, 207. Has some interesting things I found out about IWM, the ETF itself. We'll talk about that after the market open. But I looked into their holdings yesterday, so we're going to talk about that. That's up 0.72% in the pre-market. HIMS is up another 1%. Bitcoin, 70,800. Reddit is up 10% in the pre-market. Reddit is up 10% in the pre-market. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's Reddit. Look, I still think the valuation is a little cheap, quite frankly. But I did not expect it to go up 60% in like 2 days. Like I did not expect that to happen. But it seems like that's what's happening. So Reddit's up right now, and we'll see how it ends up training in a bit. Okay, so the SoFi news, we got it breaking down. SoFi president retired. SoFi president stepped down. Oh boy. Okay, I don't know if that's good or bad. Stock is down 1%. Stock's not getting killed on that news, but it is down. It's not on their IR page. So let me go on Twitter real quick and see. SoFi, let's see. Yeah, SoFi. Yeah, here you go. SoFi president is down. Okay, so we got it from Chris, who just broke this news. Chad Borton is resigning from his role at SoFi. He was hired in September 2021 as president of the SoFi Bank. He was also the title of executive vice president, group business unit lender lending. The filing says he's leaving to pursue other opportunities. Good or bad, chat? What do you think? Good or bad? Good or bad? What do you think? What do you think? Wall Street Bets crew is pushing Reddit. Yeah, they said they were going to short it. These guys love Reddit at the end of the day. They're buying the shit out of this stock. They love Reddit at the end of the day, so they're buying it up. Yeah, what do you think? Good or bad? Good or bad? I don't know, dude. I don't know if this is good or bad. I mean, stock's down. It is kind of weird that he's leaving. He only joined 3 years ago as president, so he's a pretty senior official at the company leaving. Do you still have SoFi options? Yes, I have $4,000 worth of SoFi options. That's basically my SoFi position. I have $4,000 of SoFi options. And I mean, I got them at 680. So I think I got the bottom. Like, I really think I got the bottom on these damn options, dude. If I didn't get the bottom on these SoFi options at 680, then it is what it is. It's a small part of the portfolio. I put in $4,000. I was like, you know what? I think these will do well. The asymmetric risks there is really well. If SoFi gets to that $14, $15 range, and I have 2 years to let it happen. So not under too much time pressure, but, I don't know. So my gut reaction to this is not the best news because I don't know why the president of the bank is leaving to pursue other opportunities. Well, here's the thing. So when a company says someone's leaving to pursue other opportunities, we got the market open in 40 seconds. My question is, what is a better opportunity than SoFi? What is a better opportunity than a company that's valued at $7 billion, that's growing at plus 30% year over year, and that is theoretically undervalued? Like, shouldn't you want to stay there so your options print money in the next 2 years if the company performs, which if you're confident about the company performing, you would stay? Again, that's my gut reaction. Maybe there's a real reason he's leaving that's more important for other opportunities, but I don't know what other financial opportunity could be better than a company you're the president of the bank at, because I'm assuming your options would be pretty lucrative. So interesting to see how that's playing out, but that's what we got right now on SoFi, and we'll see what goes from there. All right, 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, March 26th. Thank you, everybody, from the bottom of my heart from being here this morning with me. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Palantir opens up 24.77, up 0.92% on the day. Robinhood 1931, up 1.2% of the day, holding 19. Very important for Robinhood. Let's see how long they can hold 19 and if they can break through that 1950 level. Yesterday, I checked on the order book flow. There's like 200,000 shares that are going to be sold at $20. So there's going to need to be a lot of momentum going into that $20 range. But if we can hold 19, that to me is the most important thing, and getting through 1950. Let's see if Palantir can get through that $25 range. Tesla 178. It's up 3.6%. For those that are just joining, why is Tesla up? Because they got news broke this morning that the Italian government wants Tesla to build a factory in Italy to produce electric trucks. That means that Tesla will likely get a bunch of subsidies by the Italian government, and that would obviously be a very good thing for Tesla. So that is the news that's breaking out right now in the context of Tesla. That's why the stock is up 3.6% right now. Also, FSD is coming with a free 1 month trial for customers, which is also very good for people that are buying a new Tesla. MicroStrategy 1868, that's up 0.67%. Donut Krispy Kreme, news of McDonald's distribution with a partnership with this company, has it up 24% on the day. PayPal 66.86. Let's see if we can get through that $67 range. 67 has been resistance. We have not been able to crack it since January. We topped out at 66.97 just 30 seconds ago. Let's see if we can get 267. Reddit up 11% on the day. Reddit is up 11% on the day. Robinhood 1954. There we go. We got through that 1950 level. We got through the 1950 level, up 2.4% on the day. Not bad at all for Robinhood. ARM is up 2%. Cypher up 0.76%. This was up about 14% yesterday. Boeing down just slightly today, but they were up yesterday. Their CEO is retiring at the end of this year. NVIDIA 957 right now. Oh, Trump, I forgot. DJT. This is fucking crazy, dude. This is crazy. So Donald Trump's new company, his SPAC that is de-SPACed, is live. $65 a share. It peaked at 78. It's up 32%. It's up 32%. So there you go. There you go. The Trump SPAC is doing Trump SPAC things. It seems like people are going to buy it just to buy it. Company's doing $3 million in revenue, valued right now at $2.46 billion. It's halted. Look at that. It got halted. It got halted. You see that blue halt? It got halted. It had so many buys come in, it got halted. Look at all those buys. You see the right-hand side of my screen, all those green orders. Why are people buying something that's worth doing $3 million revenue that's worth $2.46 billion? Trump's basically got another $800 million off this deal right now. It could get up to $3 billion, $4 billion as the market cap rises. I think people are buying it, potentially to support Trump. This is a way to support him. Literally, this is the future of political contributions. You just launch a SPAC, de-SPAC it, and then people can invest in it. Or B, people think it's going to go up and they're going to make some money off of it. So that's what we have right now in the Trump SPAC. We'll get back to that in a little bit. HIMS is at 1633. Bitcoin 70,670 right now. Robinhood 1945. Let's go to the crypto companies. MicroStrategy up 1.67%. CleanSpark is down 1.62, but that's okay. CleanSpark was up. It was up 20% yesterday, so expecting people to take profits. Marathon down another 1.64%. They were not up 20% yesterday, so this Bitcoin miner just not doing that well. Riot's down 1.29%. Coinbase down about 2.5%. They were also up 10% yesterday, so people taking profits. That's fine. Bitcoin 70,000, Ethereum 3,600 right now in the context of Bitcoin. GameStop does have earnings today, I believe. So GameStop will have earnings. That's going to be after the bell. We'll not be able to do the market close today because I'll be at that Robinhood event. So won't be able to do market close, but tomorrow we will cover it live on the market open. Snapchat's up 2.84%. Let's look at the Mag 7. Apple's down. Microsoft's up. Again, Wedbush upgraded to $500. Meta 509, they're up. Google 151, they're up. Amazon trying to get to that 183, 184 level. That's their all-time high, if I'm not wrong, right now at 179. NVIDIA pushing even higher, another 1%, 960, and then Tesla at 178. Absolutely incredible. Celsius, we got some news on Celsius by Nate in the chat. He says Celsius announced they're expanding to Australia and New Zealand. Okay, I haven't looked at the stock. I'm going to say the stock is up 2% on the news. I got it, 2.14%. 93.58. Celsius is up. Wow. I mean, dude, Celsius is already up almost 40% from the earnings news. So the fact that they're up 2% on this news, it makes sense. It makes sense. Australia, New Zealand. I mean, look, I don't like the drink. I think the drink is disgusting. And I've tried like 7 flavors. I will stay with that opinion. But the Canada launch went really well. Ireland launch went really well. United States has been crushing it. They're going triple digits. Now Australia, the mates get to try it. And the New Zealand people get to try it. The kangaroos get to try it. I mean, look, this thing doesn't look like it's slowing down. So if you got into Celsius off that stupid downgrade Bank of America did at $50, which is why you have to be very careful about trusting the analysts, you're up really well. You're up almost double, which is incredible. You're up almost double. Douglas says my Robinhood position is now crossed above 200,000. I'm up over 800%. Congrats, Douglas. That's incredible. I'm assuming you did some derivatives to be able to be up over 800%. So congrats to you. That's incredible, incredible stuff. And I think there's still more room for Robinhood to run. So exciting stuff for Robinhood. So Celsius is up right now. DraftKings. Okay, I'm going to guess DraftKings is at 49. I haven't looked at it, but I think it's at 49. Yo, I'm 2 for 2 today. Not bad. 49.04 on DraftKings. up 3.63%. DraftKings, again, is a company that should be like closer to 52, 55. They acquired a company for $750 million, and that's what got the street upset on their earnings because they have to pay a lot of money, $750 million, almost $1 billion in stock and cash. But the company's growing like crazy. It has basically a pseudo monopoly on online. So DraftKings, I mean, it's one of those companies, $42 billion market cap, almost 60% year-over-year growth, $49 billion bucks, up about 3% on the day. Tesla 180. Tesla 180. 180 for Tesla. That dip to 150, 155. Now, look, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we saw this happen. We saw Tesla go to 192 from 160 in the beginning of February. And then it collapsed right back down to 161. Now, I know someone who has to be upset about this, that Tesla's going up. Someone that has to be upset about this is Meet Kevin, because Meet Kevin liquidated his entire position, 36,000 shares at about 164, 165-ish. So he said he would willingly get back in and pay $200 a share if he had to get back in. But I mean, it's not going to be the happiest to have to pay $200 a share to get back in off 36,000 shares, right? So, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. Meet Kevin's PP ETF, that is flat today, so nothing too crazy on that. He took the money and put it into cash, and then he also put it into Amazon. So he bought Amazon at 180. So he liquidated Enphase as well. Enphase right now in the pre-market is up about 0.45%. It just goes to show, and again, look, he's a fund manager. He's managing $50 million. He has to make decisions left and right. So there's no critique from my perspective on his decision-making, but it just goes to show you what it means to try to trade Tesla. Like, it's not easy, dude. It's like, this company is a juggernaut. There's a million different moving things to the downside and the upside. Elon might tweet something, stock tanks. Next thing you know, FSD 1 month free trial, stock's up 5%. So there's a lot of moving parts to Tesla, and it's hard to bet against it or take decisive moves like liquidating an entire portfolio of Tesla, right? And so it's one of those things that is just hard to fully bet on. Kathy Wood did buy 163,000 shares of Tesla yesterday as well. She's been buying the dip. I mean, shout out to Tesla. Shout out to Kathy, who's been buying Tesla basically hand over fist over the past couple weeks. Donald Trump's company DJT is up 43%, folks. Volume is 8 million. Wow. Oh my God. Okay, so Webull just updated. So you know how I said the market cap was 2 billion? Webull just updated. The market cap is 7.6 billion. So like 10% ago when Webull was saying it's 2 billion, it wasn't actually 2 billion. It was closer to 5.6 billion. That means Trump, which owns 60% of this, 60% of 7 billion, Donald Trump is worth $4.6 billion this morning, fresh. That 4.6 billion basically came out of thin air. Well, it came out of the market capitalization of this company. And today he is $4.6 billion richer than he was yesterday. Pretty incredible stuff. You got to admit, that's pretty incredible, dude. You got to admit that is pretty damn incredible. It's pretty amazing. And look, I would think that people that are supporting Trump is a perfectly legal way to buy shares of his company. And indirectly, you are making his net worth go higher. Now, he may dump those shares, but from what I'm understanding, he has a 6-month lockup period where he can't dump the shares, which means he could at least collateralize these shares if a bank thinks it's safe enough to give it to him, to be able to take a loan against it and then pay off his bill. His bond payment went from 454 million yesterday. A court decided that it's only worth 175 million. So the payment did go down. But in general, when you got $5 billion, I mean, you can finance a campaign. So big news for Trump, and obviously big news for shareholders of DJT. A couple of other headlines right now. China, I'm getting this news right now. I'm seeing it. China for Tesla. Tesla has insured 13,200 cars in China. That is the news I'm looking at right now. This is a record for 2024. I don't think that is why the street is up, but that's a news that's come across my screens right now. Tesla has insured 13,200 vehicles in China, which is a record for 2024. So that's that on top of the news with FSD and with the Italy factory production rumors that came out this morning. That'll give you a stock that's up 5% right now. So there you go. That's up for Tesla. Another piece of breaking news, Amazon has launched same-day prescription delivery in New York and Los Angeles. This is pretty insane as well. And the reason this is pretty insane is because these lights that you see on the back, I got really annoyed of the light that I was using yesterday. It had a fuse in the morning, so I didn't have good lighting for the market open. And I just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to order new lights. And for $50, I was able to order new lights, and it came in 3 hours. Came at like 9 p.m. last night. And so the reason the stream has some lighting, which is better than yesterday, is because Amazon gave me a package in 3 to 4 hours. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible what this company is doing. This is the first time I've ever had same day delivery. First time I've ever had same day delivery. So now they're doing it in the drug prescription market. Again, it's just hard to bet against Amazon. For every bear case against Amazon, when they do things like same day prescription delivery, this is going to be happening in New York and Los Angeles is what I'm looking at. I mean, dude, like what can you do? Like this company is just like, people are just not going to use Walgreens over Amazon if they can order. Like Walgreens is a very big pharmacy distribution company. If Amazon gives it to you, then why would I go to Walgreens? Why would I go to CVS, right? Why would I go to all these different things that are out there? So really, really interesting stuff to see in the context of Amazon. Now, one thing I want to show you guys for DJT, PayPal broke 67. Oh, that's incredible. That's incredible. Shout out to PayPal shareholders. I am one of them. PayPal, there you go, 67, up 1.56%. Robinhood 1955, 2% up. That's amazing. Palantir 2464, MicroStrategy 1871. Robinhood at $19.50, up 2.3% on the day. Again, credit card announcement will be pretty important today, and we'll see what Vlad and the company has in terms of a new major offering into the credit ecosystem and into the broader credit market. Okay, here's a piece of news I found yesterday on Donald Trump's SPAC. So I want to show you guys this as we're talking about the SPAC as well. So the underwriter is E.F. Hutton. And in the forms that they put out a couple of days ago as the company went public, this part is highlighted. The underwriters at any time and without notice, you can see the blue highlighting, may release all or any portion of the common stock subject to the foregoing lockup agreements. So, which basically, and then the sentence after that, if the restrictions under the lockup agreements are waived, then the common stock, subject to compliance with the Securities Act or expectations therefrom, will be available for sale to the public markets, which would cause the market price of the combined entity's common stock to decline. Basically, it's listing the risks to investing in DJT, which it has 8 million shares in volume. I don't think anyone is actually read the risks if they're investing in DJT today. Maybe some of them did. What that means is that Trump, theoretically, if I'm understanding this correctly, can dump his shares. Now, I don't think he's going to do that, but theoretically, based on what I'm reading right now, I'll put this tweet in the description. You guys can check it out as well. Trump can dump his shares if he wants, and the forums are listing this as a risk, because if the lockup agreement is waived, which the underwriters are saying at any time and without notice they are theoretically allowed to do that, then that means Trump has liquidity right now for $4.6 billion as long as the share price stays at this 69 level, which is pretty incredible. Honeybee says, I think he has to wait 6 months. That is what I thought. But what I'm reading is that at any moment and without notice, the underwriters can forego the exception of the 6 months. Now, he might need a board of directors approval as well. That might also be the case, which means maybe he doesn't immediately get to liquidate. And in all seriousness, I don't think he would try to liquidate, because then that would tank the stock. And I don't think Trump wants to tank the stock, because a lot of his supporters are probably buying it. So I don't think he wants to dump $5 billion of shares on the market. But the point is, let's say he needed to dump $100 million, $200 million. Let's say he needed $3 million. He could sell 3 million shares theoretically if he needed to. It wouldn't affect the company. And maybe he doesn't need to, maybe he doesn't need to wait till the lockup period. In what I think is going to happen is he's going to wait the 6 months and then start dumping, or just collateralize this. But in 6 months, if the stock's done really well, people might not care that he's dumping, because, they might have made really good returns. So we'll see what happens, but going to be really interesting to see how this SPAC plays out. Let me know in the chat if you're buying DJT, even if you're buying it to support. If you feel like disclosing your political affiliation, let me know. If you're buying it to support, if you're buying it to make money, very curious to see how people are thinking about it. Robinhood 1951 up 2.23%. PayPal 67.12. So comfortably breaking that $67 level. Let's see if we can get to 67.30, 67.40. Right now, 67.10, up 1.66%. Let's see if it can get there. Reddit looks like it's having a bit of a squeeze. $70, up 18%. Holy crap. Holy crap. Goodness gracious. This is crazy, dude. This is crazy. Reddit is up. Robinhood 1957 right now. Reddit is up. Reddit is up 18% today, which means year to date. Hold on, year to date, or since it launched, Reddit's up 109%, dude. Reddit is up 109%. If you got an allocation in this IPO, you've done well. Now, is this going to be a company that comes back to reality in the next few months? Maybe, but is it really not in reality at $11 billion market cap doing $1 billion in revenue? I mean, I don't know. Is it not in reality when the Fed said they're going to cut rates? Is it not in reality when they might be profitable in 2 quarters? I don't know. So we got to see what happens to Reddit, but congrats to Reddit shareholders, up 20% on the day. Maybe it falls down. Maybe it sustains these levels, but that's really good for Reddit right now. S&P 521, Bitcoin 70,856, CleanSpark 2344. CleanSpark's red now, or sorry, green. CleanSpark green. Micron continuing their rally, up another 2% today. Micron had a great earnings last week, and Micron continuing to show that they're not messing around, that they are a big player in the AI space, and that they're going to continue to be a big player in the AI space. There you go. Not bad at all. Okay, so we got some people who are buying it to support Trump in the chat. We got some people who are buying it. We got other people that are buying it potentially to make money. Okay, interesting. If Trump gets elected, the stock will boom. Well, that's another big thing. I mean, dude, if Trump gets elected, if Trump's the, would it be 47th president of the United States, right? Because Biden's 46. I mean, you know, you got, I like it. I don't know what would happen, but I do think that would be bullish for the stock because, I mean, people are going to be essentially be buying his name, and his name would be the biggest name in the world if he is the president of the United States. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out. But right now, that's what we've got in the context of DJT. Let's get an update from JPMorgan and what they think the Fed is going to do. And then after that, we'll talk more about what's going on in the EU with that big tech probe that was happening, or that got announced yesterday.
Equity and fixed income markets. We want to bring in Oksana Aronoff, who is head of market strategy and alternative fixed income at JPMorgan Asset Management. Oksana, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You've got a very interesting view of the equity markets and fixed income, and watching both of them at the same time. I think the Fed lands front and center on what is determining so much of this right now. What do you see happening in the fixed income markets? What do you see happening with stock market as we hear from the Fed that, look, rate cuts are likely, we just don't know exactly when?
Yeah. It's really interesting because as a credit watcher and someone who focuses on the macro a lot as a credit investor, certainly when you look at equities through the prism of the rate cuts that they're likely pricing in, as well as many other metrics, they definitely seem to be running quite frothy. And in fact, I think the Fed is really allowing this by essentially letting the market and the economy live in a 3% inflation world, higher than that, really, while talking about getting to target and talking about rates. But really, if I'm Jerome Powell, what is the impetus for me to do anything right now, right? The economy's doing fine. Unemployment is below even what the Fed considers to be neutral. The inflation rate is above even in their longer term projections, their target. And the economy does not seem to be restricted by these rates, in spite of what he said in the press conference, which was kind of perplexing. The reality is that the economy continues to track strongly. In fact, it was really interesting because the projections of the Fed for 2024 in terms of growth and inflation have gone up, but they're still anticipating 3 cuts. The projections for 25 and 26 in terms of growth and inflation are unchanged, but they're expecting less cuts. At least that's kind of their official guidance. And I think
now, one of the things that she ends up talking about is that, look, this is kind of weird for equities if equities are doing so well, because the Fed is projecting that, we're going to have we're going to have less rate cuts in 2025, 2026, but more rate cuts in 2024, right? 3 cuts, but only 2 cuts in the next 2 years. The thing I don't think she's taking into account is that the Fed projections into 2025, 2026 are just that, projections. 2024 is going to see inflation come down theoretically. And if inflation is coming down, Reddit up 17% right now, then 2025 and 2026 are going to have more rate cuts. Now, why am I saying inflation is going to come down? We got new housing data yesterday. Housing data showed two things. Number one, the supply of inventory of houses is up 5.9%. That's very good because we had a housing supply, not crisis, but a pretty big shortage back in January. Houses are going up, which will decrease inflation because that means prices will go down. Second of all, new home sales were up 9.4%, even though mortgage rates are 6.84%. So people are still buying houses, even if mortgage rates are higher, which is really good because that's another great thing for the real estate market. And then on top of that, the median price for the real estate market for the average household in America is down to $384,000, down from about $440,000 last year at this time. So housing prices have come down, inventory has gone up, and housing sales have gone up. You put all of that together, shelter, which is over 50% of the CPI, seems like it's going to trend down. And if it trends down, the Tesla right now, 182, absolutely incredible, at 5.73%. If it trends down, then that means equities are likely not massively overpriced, right? We've talked a lot about on the show about why equities historically, from a precedent perspective, and also just from their earnings, probably aren't massively overpriced. I mean, you got Tesla and Apple that are down 20% and 10% year to date. So you got two of the biggest companies in the world that are actually down, but the entire market's up. That goes to show that the market has broadened its perspective in terms of how they're allocating capital. And then if the shelter part of the CPI starts to come down, we've seen energy come down over the past 3 months, we're going to get a CPI that is at 2% or 2.4, 2.5 by the end of the year. If that's the case, 2025 and 2026 can be really good. So even though they're, struggling on the Fed projections, I don't think those Fed projections will be the Fed projections that we see them right now. If inflation comes down, even if we don't get 3 rate cuts, the Fed is projecting we get 3 rate cuts. And if we get inflation legitimately coming down, then we probably will get those rate cuts. Tesla right now on a tear, up 6% of the day, 183. Absolutely incredible. Microstrategy up another 2%, 1891. Palantir 24.56. Robinhood holding that $1940 level at 1.79%. Trump SPAC up 42%. That's up $8 billion. Trump basically worth about $4.5 billion right now off of that. Enphase 111. It's not halted anymore, the Trump SPAC, so that's still trading. AMD down a little bit on the day. Coinbase down a little bit on the day. Google 151. Unity 27.28. Microsoft 4.23. Lululemon, they tanked 15% after earnings. They're at 393. Adobe 504. They went to about 483, so they're back up. And then PayPal holding that $67 level, which is not too bad either. Duarte says Tesla up almost 6%. Yeah, that's incredible. For those that are just joining, Tesla got not a deal, but a rumor deal with the Italian government on building a factory, and the market is very exciting about that. And FSD is coming with a 1-month trial. For those that are just joining that missed the Palantir news, Palantir got a new partnership with the Lithuanian government. That news is very, very, very important with the Lithuanian government. And as you can see right here, it is worth $37 million. It is for a State Department agency. The main thing is not the $37 million. The main thing here is that they've secured an international governmental client, which is hopefully going to reaccelerate the part of the business that is not doing that well, which is international government revenue. If commercial scales really well and then government starts to reaccelerate, particularly international government reaccelerates, Q1 and Q2, maybe not Q1 because it'll probably take a few quarters, but Q3 2024, it's going to be a gangbusters. I mean, it's going to be a monster quarter for Palantir. So we just have to see how that plays out, but that is the exciting news for Palantir today. And we'll see how that plays out. Okay, let's get an update on the EU probe. The European Union is investigating Apple, Google, and Meta. Here's Deepwater Gene Munster talking about what this means. He is bullish on Apple in particular. Let's see what he has to say.
Apple, Alphabet, and Meta under the new Digital Markets Act tech legislation. Other mega cap technology companies could be next. And joining us right now is Gene Munster. He's Deepwater Asset Management managing partner. Gene, we've had about 24 hours or so to really think through what this is going to mean. Where are you thinking the longer term implications, or what do you think the longer term implications are?
Becky, the headline, just to jump right to it, is that I think that this is ultimately noise, very similar to what's going on with the Department of Justice in the U.S. They all have similar storylines, but it is effectively noise. And I want to just quickly step back and frame in what's going on here. When it comes to the European Union, this Digital Markets Act, their goal is to try to level the playing field in their view. When it comes to Meta, this is related to data, and it is specifically that their subscription business doesn't provide enough of a free offering for consumers who don't want to share their data. When it comes to Google,
let's just stop on that for a second. We don't provide free uses for customers who aren't sharing their data. I mean, it's an admission that sharing your data is the price of it. It's price of admission, I guess, for getting into some of these things. But
it's a head scratcher to me, and ultimately these are businesses. They do need to make money, but I'm just simply framing in what the issue with the European Union is here. I can understand Meta's response is going to be just that, is that we have to have a business, either take the free product and sell the data or pay for it. In the case of Apple and Google, it's about choice, and specifically related to the App Store and users having to be able to choose presumably cheaper options of apps off platform where they don't have to pay Apple the take rate. So that's the kind of the framework here. And I led with my belief that this is all noise, but there is going to be a lot of noise around this. And just look at the intensity level that the EU has approached this at. And specifically is that they had to submit, the big three, those companies had to submit, Google, Meta, and Apple, had to submit their resolutions to DMA in the middle of March. It went into effect March 1st, but they really had to have it middle of March. A week after that, 2 weeks after that, they've already come out, the EU has come out and said they're non-compliant. It's going to take a year for the EU to actually cross their T's and dot their I's related to what this non-compliance is. They've said that. But I think it really speaks to this. We're just going to continue to hear a lot about regulation. I have a strong belief that it really doesn't matter. What ultimately matters is consumers love their products, and when they love their products, they will still continue to use all three of these companies.
I agree with Gene here. I mean, look, dude, at the end of the day, people love using Apple, Google, and Meta products. And I know some people here might not like Facebook. In fact, the way I got the news today about the Lithuania Palantir contract is someone on Facebook Messenger. If I wasn't on Facebook, I wouldn't have this news. Messaged me because he was in a Lithuanian Facebook group around Palantir investors. So, billions of people across the world use these products, and I don't think the consumer is going to stop using these products, but I do think the EU wants to make it a little bit more fair in terms of how the products are being distributed. The problem is it's going to be a legal battle for years because Meta, Google, and Apple have a lot of money, and they have access to a lot of good lawyers. They will fight back. And so it might just be in a deadlock over the next couple of years until something really happens, unless the EU just bans them entirely, which I don't think European citizens would want those products to completely be banned. Trump's company up 46% of the day, 8.2 billion. What's really interesting about this is I wonder who's buying. I wonder if it's retail or institutional. Now, you guys saw, we talked about yesterday, Jeffrey Yass, who's the owner of Susquehanna International Group, has a big stake in TikTok. He's been getting friendly with Trump. He bought 600,000 shares of Trump's SPAC when it was DWAC. So instead of giving the guy billions of dollars, if you could invest in his company to protect your TikTok stake, because Trump said he's not going to ban TikTok anymore, that is a way to potentially influence what the election could be like in 2024. I wonder if institutional investors that want to see Trump get elected and want to see tax cuts or anything are potentially thinking, hey, let's just buy a couple $100 million worth of this thing, prop it up, we'll sell it after the election, and let's make sure Trump's net worth gets higher so that he can have all the money he needs to do whatever he needs to do, and that can get him elected. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things that's possible, but we'll see how that ends up plays out. Or retail's maybe just buying it to buy it, right? We'll see ultimately how it plays out as we get more updates, especially in 13Gs and 13Fs in the next 50 to 60 days. We'll know which institutions own this stock. I didn't talk about the Baltimore Bridge news. Let me show you guys that as well. So this is just pretty heartbreaking news, what we're seeing right here. Let me share the video. The video is a little graphic. It's not bloody or anything, but it is a tough video to watch. So this right here is in Baltimore, which is in the United States of America. It's a city in Maryland, which is one of the states. This is a bridge that ends up collapsing as a ship crashes into one of the pillars of the bridge. So this is, as you can see right now, the entire thing collapses. There are cars on this bridge during the time. So you could imagine, I'm pretty sure everyone here has driven or drove on a bridge before. if you were driving, like if you were all the way to the left-hand side, or if you were right underneath that truck, there's not a number yet, but there were significant casualties because of this event. And it's sad, dude. I think it goes to show that American infrastructure probably needs a revamp and definitely needs to get stronger. But also it shows that the world is absurd. And the philosophical takeaway I get from this is, who would have thought you're on your way to work, on your way coming home from work? It looks like this happened at night. You're driving to come, back home, and the bridge you're driving on collapses. It's one of those things that makes you remember you really do got to take every moment as if it's your last, and live and, go tell your parents you love them and tell your kids you love them, because you just never know, dude. You just never know what could happen. The world is absurd. Absurd things happen, and it could happen to anybody. No one's immune from stuff like this happening to them. So really sad news on that. That's going to be a big news over the next couple of days. I mean, a lot of the reasons is, why did that ship crash into the bridge, right? Like, what? Like, ships go through that seaport all the time. Why is it collapsing today? And then second of all, why did the entire bridge collapse versus just the pillar of it, right? Like, maybe the infrastructure of it just wasn't as upgraded. A lot of these bridges haven't been rebuilt for like 30, 40 years in the United States of America. So maybe that requires more upgrades by our infrastructure. I'm seeing right now from the Wall Street Journal, around 20 people and multiple cars likely fell into the water, and police are treating this as a mass casualty incident currently right now. So we'll see. Right now, maybe it looks like this was a random thing, but when you go deeper into this stuff, it ends up, you get to reveal maybe these things aren't that random. Maybe the ship was trying to, like, you never know, right? So we're going to really see what's happening here over the next few days, and I'll give you guys updates on that as we get more news on what's going on. Why was the ship going under the bridge? Yeah, I have no clue, right? Like, why? Someone says longer video shows the ship's lights going out and minutes before hitting, and then it hits and lights go off on and off again. Okay, so maybe they lost power. That's kind of a reasonable explanation, that the ship lost power. They weren't able to, turn the ship in the correct direction. They weren't able to see, and then they ended up collapsing into the bridge. But it is very weird, dude. You don't see a bridge like that collapsing often in the United States. You don't see that happen. That happens like very rarely, dude. Like that doesn't happen all the time. So it was very weird to see that actually play out. But we'll get more updates on it over the next few days. Palantir 2465, MicroStrategy 1870, Robinhood 1946, S&P 500 521. SoFi, for those just joining, SoFi is down 1% on the news that their president of their bank, Chad, I forgot his name, Chad something, is pull it up in a sec. He's stepping down. He's stepping down. And it's really weird news, dude. It's really weird. Chad Borton. So I don't know. Again, the stock's not tanking that badly. It's down 1%, which is okay. But the president of the bank leaving, it is very weird. No clue why he's leaving. And he is. Now, in the context of Robinhood, like Robinhood's chief creative officer stepped down the other day. Some people may not know this. His name is Baiju Bhatt. If you saw the Dumb Money video, you know him. And he stepped down because he, in my opinion, in his letter, he said he's pursuing other opportunities. Now, Chad Borton also says he's pursuing other opportunities. What's the difference? Baiju built the company since 2013. He's been there for more than a decade. So, and he doesn't operate the company on the day-to-day anymore, right? He's just a co-founder. He's on the board of directors, and he's the chief creative officer. So you could understand someone stepping away after they've given a decade to a company. The company's, it's operating now, and then you leave to go do other stuff. The president of SoFi's bank, who joined 3 years ago, is leaving in 2020 at the start of 2024. So less than 3 years he's leaving. So when he says, I'm going to pursue other opportunities, it's like, wait a second. What other opportunities are that much better than SoFi, right? You could understand a founder of a company like Robinhood leaving after 10 years, who's not in an operational mode like a CEO or anything like that, or a COO, because he's built the company for 10 years and he's going to do other things. But the SoFi dude just came in. like what other opportunities are there? So that's the confusing part that I don't really understand. And hopefully we'll get more clarity on that over the next coming days. Apple right now, 170, Pfizer, 2737, still down at decade-year lows for Pfizer, 11-year lows right now. TFC 3766, Nike down about 1% of the day, and Lululemon 392. On sneakers also down about 0.71% on the day. Bot says Noto probably firing useless people. That's actually really funny. That's really fun. Crossroads says, not weird. They pulled Borton out of retirement. He was a temporary guy like Slootman. Interesting. Okay, so real quick, guys, I'm going to be doing a Twitter Spaces with Crossroads. We're doing one every Wednesday at 12:05 p.m. So 12:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll be doing a Twitter Spaces. We'll talk about SoFi, Robinhood, Palantir, Tesla. We'll talk about a bunch of stocks. So putting Twitter in the chat, make sure you're there, 12 p.m. Twitter Spaces with Crossroads. What is weird to me is that even if they pulled him out of retirement, why is he leaving after 2 years? Right? Like why, why 2 years and then you're gone? Because what's the point of being pulled out of retirement if you're only going to stay for 2 years? That's the part that's confusing me. Slootman stayed for about 5 years before they got rid of him. So, I mean, I didn't know he was perceived as a temporary guy, but that is a little weird that he only stayed for 2 years and now he's gone. The part that's annoying me about this is that he thinks there's other opportunities. I'm like, dude, what's another, like what? Unless you're going to retire and spend time with your grandkids, which then totally understandable. But if this guy's going to start another business or working at another company, why are you leaving SoFi when the stock's at what looks like to be a bottom? That part to me is the confusing part there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do have some thoughts on that. Tune in on Wednesday. All right, Crossroads and I will be talking about that later today. He's going to Palantir. Could you imagine? Could you imagine, dude? Oh, leaving to pursue other opportunities means letting go of. That's a good point. That's actually a really good point, Jimmy. If you I didn't think of the vernacular and the terminology that was used there. Leaving to pursue other opportunities does mean you might have got your ass fired. That's a good point. Trump up 1 point. Trump right now, PayPal 66.95. Trump 42%. Reddit up 16%. That's a good point. Maybe he did get fired. Maybe he just wasn't performing. And they got him out. Lewis says, is Pfizer a good buy right now? Pfizer has a dividend. It's at 11-year lows. I think it's the bottom, but is it a good buy? I don't know, because I don't know what their drug pipeline looks like. Now, the bulls say they have a very extensive drug pipeline. The bears say after the pandemic, they didn't really have a vaccine that they could pump, so there's nothing that exciting, which is why they dropped to 11-year lows. So if you're buying it, you really have to believe in their drugs. And so you can't just buy it to buy. You really do have to know what they're going to sell over the next coming years around these drugs. And I personally don't really know their drug pipeline yet. So hard to say if it's like a great buy at this price, but it is at 10-year lows right now. Okay, cool. So we got through a bunch of those new pieces of news. We talked about Amazon. Oh, we didn't talk about this thing. We should probably talk about that as well. Let's take one look at equities and then we'll keep going. Any take on Archer Aviation, Amit? Yeah, my take is that they're working with Palantir. Super interesting company. I don't know enough about the financials to invest in them. Kathy would have been buying like millions of shares of this company. Market cap is 1.5 billion, so it looks like a small cap, not profitable yet. They are using Palantir's AIP Foundry software. Not exciting enough for me to develop a position. They're trying to be the Uber of the skies. Maybe that happens, maybe that doesn't. Big ambition. It's more so like a startup that you're betting on right now if you're buying shares at this price. So I don't have a position and not super excited to build a deeper position. Okay, so let's take a look at equities and then I want to talk about what's going on with WeWork. Tesla 181, Enphase 111, MicroStrategy trying to get to $1,900, Robinhood 1938, Palantir 2466, Krispy Kreme that's up 21% today on a partnership with McDonald's, so that one's up. SMCI that's up 3.87%. Micron up 4.2%. QQQ, that's up about 0.5%. NVIDIA 952. TFC 3757. Some of the other crypto stocks, Coinbase is down on the day. CleanSpark's down a little bit. Bitcoin 70,484. And then Marathon is down about 2% on the day. Bitfarms, their CEO left yesterday as well. A lot of these high street executives are starting to leave from a bunch of these different companies. We had Snowflake, we had Bitfarms, we had SoFi with the president. Now down about 2.4% on the day as well. And Robinhood at 1940 up 1.68% on the day. Okay, so let's talk about WeWork. Sebastian says, yo, Amit, what's going on? Did you win the lottery? You look like a poor Emirati prince. The comments have been great. No, I just got some new jackets from an Indian boutique I went to, and I'm testing them out on the stream. So before I go on dates, I have to wear these now. Like, could you imagine, dude? Could you imagine if I pulled up wearing this jacket on a date, dude? Could you imagine? Like either they're like, oh my God, like I'm going to marry this guy, or they're like, what the fuck is wrong with her? There's one or the other. and you would have to take the risk if it happens. But I'm testing it out here. So when Kelly comes to New York, and who hopefully should be in New York in April, and I take her out to a restaurant, maybe she's embarrassed to see me with this. Maybe she's not. Who knows? We're going to see. Maybe we have to test it out. I think she might be a little embarrassed, but maybe the personality is able to overcome for the embarrassment in the outfit. Okay, WeWork. Let's talk about WeWork. WeWork was valued at $46 billion in 2019. When they couldn't submit a proper S1 to effectively IPO, the company ended up going from $46 billion to like $4 billion to like $2 billion to now they got delisted in November of 2023. Now, Adam Neumann was given $1 billion to leave. Adam Neumann was given $1 billion to leave the company. The company went public. Then 3 years later, they got delisted in 2023. Now he's back trying to buy back the whole thing for $500 million. He's trying to buy back the whole thing for $500 million. It's pretty crazy, right? I mean, it's pretty damn crazy. Like they gave him $1 billion to leave, and now he's saying, "Hey, what if I buy back the company for $500 million bucks?" He also raised $350 million for a really weird real estate startup in 2022. It's like this whole like communal living, which sounds like dorms. I get it. It's kind of weird, but Andreessen Horowitz gave him $350 million bucks. So it would be pretty poetic to see him have a company, take it to the moon, raise billions of dollars from SoftBank, have that company go to shit, and then buy back the intellectual property, the brand back from the company, and then pair it with his potential We Living platform, which is called Flow. That's the new name of the company, along with WeWork. I mean, it would be pretty crazy. It would be pretty crazy to see that happen. Commercial real estate we see under a lot of distress right now. So commercial real estate being under distress also brings up the argument that if commercial real estate is in the worst it's ever been, and you've got WeWork, that's trying to take advantage of some of the weaknesses in the commercial real estate market with their brand, maybe there's an opportunity for Adam Neumann to actually restart WeWork, because it's a great idea. It was just valued as a tech company when it's a real estate company, not a tech company. Like it's not a tech company. But if he properly values it with a real estate company and pairs it with the new thing he's starting, maybe there's an argument for Adam Neumann making a comeback. And then all the documentaries that were made on Adam Neumann, I watched all of them. They were really good. They're going to have to make a part two. They're literally going to have to make a part two, because you can't finish the story without the comeback of the story. So going to be exciting to see how that one plays out as well. DraftKings 48.46 right now. We got Roblox at 37.05, NASDAQ 16,458, Google 152, Tesla 182, up 5.5% of the day. Really great day for Tesla. Bitcoin 70,000 right now. And we've got Robinhood here at $19.46 on the day, up about 1.99%. Palantir 2470, up 0.78% on the day. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. That is it for me today. Let's do the word of the day. Again, there will be no market close because I said earlier in the stream, got invited to Robinhood's credit card event. So I'll be at that event. I'll be live tweeting the event, and it'll be super fun. I was going to stream it on YouTube, not going to be streaming it anymore, because the random lady from Robinhood's marketing department emailed me yesterday saying, "Hey, you're on the list to be in New York City at 6:00. And I'm like, okay, I will be there. And it'll be pretty cool. I looked up the place they're doing it at. It's like this boutique, like private event gathering space. It's the most NYC thing ever, dude. It's probably costing them like $50,000 to rent it for the night. Like that, like it's like NYC peak, like luxury real estate they rented out for this thing. It's good. I've never been to one of these things before. I've never been to one of these like locations. So I have no idea what to expect. I don't know if there's food. I don't know if there's drinks. I don't know if Vlad's going to be, I have no idea what it's going to be like, but it'll be pretty cool. And I'll be live tweeting the whole thing at the time, and take you guys with me there. I would stream it, but I know the internet's going to suck. So that's the only reason I'm not streaming it, because I know the internet's not going to be the best. So not going to be the best idea, because it's just going to be super choppy to stream it. Word of the day is jubilation.
Jubilation.
A feeling or the expression of joy or exultation. I knew this word. I think a lot of people know this word. It was wonderful to witness their jubilation as they crossed the finish line. There was an atmosphere of jubilation and excitement at the grand opening ceremony. So there you go. Jubilation. Not the worst word of the day. Eric, this is bad. He said, "What bridge are you taking to NYC?" This is look, I think it's a little too early for the jokes, dude. It's that one's not good. That's The dark humor. I understand the dark humor, but that one's quick. I'll be taking a train, so no bridges going to NYC. But look, you got to be after seeing what happened with Baltimore, you got to be a little worried. I've drove on bridges many times throughout New York and New Jersey. There's so many, the Holland Tunnel. There's all these bridges, so it is a little scary now. Just imagining you're on a bridge and something potentially happens. So, all right, that's it for me. Thank you everybody for being here. I will see you guys tomorrow for the market open. Golden Eagle says, please have Arnie do the market open for you. You know, it's so ironic you bring this up. I think Arnie's going to be here in New Jersey in May. There's an event we both are going to that's associated with Palantir. Haven't announced it yet, but it's going to be in DC. And he's going to DC is like 4 hours away from Jersey. He's probably going to be come to my house and stay over for a couple days in New Jersey. And I'm going to take him to New York, and he'll get to see New York for the first time because he's from Italy. And one of those days, he'll probably do the market open with me. So Arnie will likely be doing the market open with me sitting right here in all of his Italian goodness, probably in late May. So that'll be really exciting to see as he comes on the stream. And that'll be fun to see later in May. Michael Goldberg, thank you for becoming a channel member. Really appreciate it. All right, thank you, everybody. I will see you on the market open later tomorrow morning. I still have a daily Palantir episode coming out about the Italian deal, so that'll be out in a few hours. And then market open tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great day, and I'll see you later on the day, and I'll be live tweeting that entire Robinhood credit card event, so I'll be tweeting the event, and you guys can get those updates from there. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.